Geneva Council meeting of March 13th, 2023 in order. Roll call, please.
Barbeau, Rosebrew,
Here.
Bear,
Here.
Griffiths,
Yes, here.
Rivera, Baker,
Here.
Cordova.
Here. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the prayer of protection. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, I thank you for the opportunity we have to come before you and ask for your wisdom, your counsel, your guidance for all that happens in the city of Geneva. I pray for your blessings, your protection. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Everyone's had the opportunity to review the minutes of the February 27, 2023 meeting, and there's any corrections, edits, or otherwise a motion to approve.
Yeah, may I just ask for, noted in part with where we were notified of the not getting the comprehensive storm study.
I'm sorry, say again?
The section on page 2 of the actual meeting minutes where they talk about us not getting the storm study grant, just if it could be noted that I made the suggestion to have the ARPA funds to, pay for getting that study done. Thank you.
Any other corrections or revisions? Have a motion to approve the minutes. So moved. Second. Roll call.
Rosebrew,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffiths,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova.
Yes. Minutes are approved. This evening's department presentation is the Recreation Department. Ms. Anderson, take it away.
So it's going to be really quick, and I apologize. We do have baseball games going on right now. So just wanted to give you an update of some of the things that we have going on. Currently, we have 8 teams for baseball. We are also in the process of putting all of our summer events together, which would be our summer concerts and our summer movies. We do have them picked out. It's just a matter of getting sponsors for those. Sponsorship letters did go out. So if you guys know of anybody that would want to sponsor one of the movies, that would be great. They go ahead and contact me, and I can go ahead and take care of it from there.
What's the approximate cost?
$350. We also have concerts in the park going on. Those will be on Thursdays. Our movies will be on Mondays. On Tuesdays. May 20th, we're going to be doing our community garage sale again. We used to do it down Memorial Field. We're going to do it again. It'll be $10 a spot. Anybody that wants to participate can go ahead and do that. We're working with Goodwill to then, once the garage sale is done, anything that you don't want to take home with you, Goodwill will go ahead and take, so you don't have to take it home with you. June 17th, we're working on community days. We used to do that as well. We're looking at doing a lot of nonprofits. I have a couple, I have a Touch My Truck. We have the big, like the semis, the fire trucks. Those will be going down the football field so the kids can go ahead and climb on those. We're going to be doing just a bunch of different little things, some games. We'll have the soccer board doing some practices so that people can go ahead and check it out if they want to do the fall session, and then we'll have some sign-ups for some of the sports as well. July 27th, we'll be at the captain's game. It'll be Geneva night. We used to do that as well. It's kind of cool. We get to throw the first pitch. We get to get a Megatron. It doesn't cost us anything other than buying a ticket, and we do get discounted for it. There is a website that you'll just have to go to, and anybody who wants to purchase tickets can go ahead to that site and get them. We're also doing the water battle, which will be on July 9th down the football field. That is something that they've done the last couple of years, which I think is kind of cool. And the other thing that we have going on is pickleball on Thursdays and Sundays from 1 to 4 on both days. It started off small, and I think they're up to 10 or 11 people already. So it is growing. It's something that we've not had before. So I'm interested to see how well that takes off, and hopefully it'll follow through the summer, and it'll be down at the tennis courts as well. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
Are we promoting the call for sponsors on the website and social media?
I'm not, I just literally just sent the letters out.
But
so-
we're going to?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, I know I've been on the city website recently. Do you have this all posted somewhere?
We're in the process of getting that all there. And it's all been on the Facebook. We are working on getting it on the website though.
Okay. Looking forward to seeing that, because I wrote down a lot of stuff, but
It's a lot of
I think
stuff,
I
yeah.
missed some too.
Thank you,
All
Mike.
right, thank you guys.
Brings us to our first citizens portion. Is there any citizen wishing to address council? All right. Brings us to our city manager's report. Mr. Marquette.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. So a couple of reiterations regarding the West Main Street infrastructure upgrade project. It was put out last week that we were postponing our bid opening by 1 week, and again, primarily the reason for that is we received information that some of the contractors that were working on bids were having difficulty receiving numbers in a timely manner from their suppliers, and they were concerned about whether or not they were going to be able to submit their bid on time, which was originally scheduled for last Friday at noon. So without much hesitation, we made the decision to postpone that 1 week. We did build that into our schedule as a possible option, and so we went ahead and just made a call. So that is now scheduled, bid opening is now scheduled for this Friday at noon, and we again remain hopeful that we're going to get some competitive bids, and that's what this is all about. That does not impact our intent to still present to council the results of the bids and the bid opening and make a contractor recommendation. So that's all scheduled for still the following week, our next meeting on the 27th. So fingers crossed we'll have a good result on Friday. And just as a reminder, the engineer estimate on this is a $6 million project. So hopefully that will move forward. Also, just another note is more as a reminder that we are still waiting forward on 2 additional sources of funding for that project. And one is a $3 million application for the water, wastewater infrastructure grant program, and that's obviously run through the state. And the other is $500,000 that was submitted about 3 weeks ago as an amendment to the transportation budget. So anything that we're able to get on either of those funding sources would again reduce our debt financing in the WPCL loan in particular. So, okay, the Pleasant Avenue State Route 534 intersection widening, that again, this is all weather dependent, weather permitting, but it's now they're looking to start setting up and laying out for this project this Wednesday, the 15th, followed by actual excavation and construction starting on Monday, the 20th. So it's moving forward now. The key here is that there will be full closure at Pleasant 534. I know that the contractor initially was concerned about a very narrow pathway, especially with truck traffic. That was a problem. So the road was completely closed at 534. And that was even in the bid. And it will it'll be closed to through traffic, and it will enable local traffic to traverse in and out with the exit at the west end of Pleasant Avenue. So they're anticipating the project in all should take somewhere between 7 to 10 days of construction. So we're looking at a closure somewhere between the 20th and April 1st. So from that period of time, hopefully, we'll be able to get that open up sooner. But a lot of this is weather dependent as well. Just here an update on the Harpersfield Water Tower. This information from the project manager working on the tower project. So right now, again, they're still going through some preliminaries, and they're waiting, to have EPA review completed. they're anticipating right now that, at least they're hoping to have this project out for bid by April. And again, this is all pretty fluid as well. They anticipate and they hope to have construction start sometime between around July, August of this year. And they believe a construction range here would last between 18 and 24 months. It's a big project. Cost of materials remain volatile, and again, their estimate right now is around 2.75, which, as you might notice, is down a little bit from what we heard about 6 months ago. But when we first started talking about this project, it was right around like 1.3, 1.5, went up over 3. Now, with a 10% contingency built in, we're looking at about 2.75. Before the bids go out, I know they're still talking with suppliers and are hoping that they'll settle on an estimate cost of construction, obviously before it goes out for bid. So should be right around the corner. And again, hopefully that number will come down even more. But ultimately, it depends on what the bids are on that. So just one other point on that, Mr. Pasqualone and I, we have been in discussion. I in particular been in discussion with the Department of Environmental Services. And as you know, this project would impact us based on the county water, the county city water agreement. So there's been ongoing discussion about what our obligation is under that contract. And Mr. Pasqualone and I will be meeting with the county here within the next few weeks.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So they're moving forward with the process of construction, but have we finalized what our commitment is or what our terms of our agreement? Because I thought we had questions about that, and now they're moving
Well, this
forward.
project has been ongoing. This project has been on the planning board for quite some time.
But we've had concerns about, we've had questions about this agreement and trying to get this agreement cleared up so we have a clear understanding of what our obligation is.
Correct. Yeah, and we're still trying to determine that.
But, so are they going to give us a
Commitment
bill?
of this. So we're looking at right now 18, 24-month commitment. It starts for construction. Right. We're still determining what that is. It's been communicated that we're on the hook for 50%. So, and my perspective, from my perspective, I'm looking at that going forward, that's what it is. But there's question as to whether or not that's what our obligation is. So
We've had Mr. Pasqualone and other folks in here saying that they feel like we're not on the hook for that, but now we're just kind of saying, "Vachi-da, we're gonna be on the hook for about $1 million of money that we haven't budgeted for."
To the point, the point I'm making though, Jeff, is, you're talking about a construction project of 18, 24 months, so you're talking about a budget that would, depending on what it is, what our obligation is. And I've not been, I've been very consistent about that. It's still undetermined. I mean,
Well, how can we accept them moving forward with this process if we are owing, or what our obligation is?
We're being told that we're on the hook for 50%.
So you're saying this evening, I just want to be clear, you're saying this evening that as it stands, this project is happening and we're on the hook for 50%.
It's an issue as to whether we're going to honor that agreement under their terms. Their terms are, we're obligated for 50%. We don't agree with that. We dispute.
Yeah, Mr. Griffiths, this is them moving forward with their project.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to do the project, and what we owe is yet to be determined.
Yeah, they're not going to wait for us.
I know, it doesn't really,
I know, I
But if they give us a bill, what is this, ultimately we're going to be in court? Is that what we're saying? Like,
Possibility certainly is.
what I'm saying is, 6 months from now or 12 months from now, are you going to come back to us and say, oh, well, it looks like we are on the hook for that agreement. Here's the bill and we got to figure things out. Like, don't we feel like we need to have a very clear, finalized
That's what the
understanding
meeting
of
about
this?
that we're discussing.
But we've been talking about meeting with them about this for a while.
We tried to
for a
schedule
year.
a meeting today for this week, it didn't happen. We're trying to schedule it for next week, we're not available.
But they're 20 minutes away. I mean, it's not like they're in another.
We couldn't get it scheduled. I mean, there's a number of people that have to get it scheduled. It's not as if we haven't tried. We're certain Mr. Marquette today trying to get it scheduled for this Wednesday, and it didn't happen. the following Wednesday, I'm in court all day. I wasn't available.
But isn't this kind of like an emergency thing? This is over $1 million of money that we're
Which
going
is
to.
why we're trying to get a discussion with them as to what exactly, we're going to advise them what our position is. They're not going to want to hear it. But we're gonna
They
advise them.
know what the position is from years ago. I mean, this Jim Pearson and Doug Starkey, and it's kind of an odd situation because Doug sat here and, you know, was on the one side of the fence and now the other. But when he took that job, I think he indicated, hey, you know, yeah, we understand the situation. And I thought the discussion was, or he kind of put it out there that, hey, we know this needs to be done, and they were kind of going to bite the bullet on it.
They've been advised.
About 3
what
years
our
ago, I would
position
say.
is. We can't stop them from going forward.
But you put that position in writing to them and their team?
Well, we had meetings with them already.
Have you put that in writing, our position and our stance on the MOU?
I think Lauren Gardner did.
I think she did. This is all before my time.
I'm asking you since, but you've
I
been
have
here.
not put it in writing. That's
So you
the
have
question.
not put our position in writing, our stance on this MOU yet?
Not in writing, but we certainly had sit-down discussions with them already.
Yeah, but we're talking about a legal agreement. You've not given them your.
Well, wait a minute, Mr. Griffiths. We think there is an agreement, and we're refuting that agreement at this time. And we've told
And
them
you've not
that.
refuted that in writing.
I just told you, I haven't put anything in writing as to our position, but that
That's
doesn't
concerning.
mean that, well, I don't know, why would that be concerning? That doesn't mean that we're not taking that position, and that's what our upcoming meetings are all about, and that's what our past meetings were about. We can't tell them not to go ahead with this project. They're going forward whether we agree to pay it or don't pay it. They will expect us probably to pay it, because their position is going to be that we entered an agreement a long time ago that we pay 50%. We've advised them that no, that is not the case under the type of work that they're seeking to have done. So, and we'll convey that again as soon as we get a meeting scheduled within the next 2 weeks.
But wouldn't we want to, I mean, isn't there any other legal remedy to stop the progress that they're going forward? Because
We can't
50%
stop
of the
their
project
project.
that
They
they're
say
working on. Yeah.
I'm sorry, just to be a little bit, respectfully, the conversation of whether they do their project or not is irrelevant. They're gonna go ahead with their project whether we agree to it or not, and our portion. What they're gonna litigate and discuss with them and have this meeting about is based on the agreement that was signed years ago. We are disputing this, and then from that point, whatever comes out of that meeting will be put in writing.
Yeah, we've been
But we
disputing this
can't-
Wells for over a year though.
It doesn't,
No, it's been a lot
honestly,
longer
but
than
their
that.
But I'm
project
saying,
but
this
their
current council
project
was
is
for
gonna go on no
Tracy's
matter
a
what.
party.
Their project is gonna go on no matter what. It's just a matter of, we are gonna negotiate, not me, but them, are negotiating on how much we are actually liable for. And it's kind of like when you enter into a union contract. You could be going through several months of paying someone at a certain rate, and then they negotiated at a different rate, and you have to do back pay. So this is exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I just feel like the residents and cities even need to understand that a project's moving forward, that we're potentially on the hook for over $1 million of money that we don't have budgeted. And we have to find, that's an issue.
But rightfully, we don't
That-
necessarily have to budget for it until we know
That's
what our dollar
exactly-
amount is going to be for sure.
Yeah, and this discussion's been ongoing. I mean, it's not been, I mean, the position that we're in hasn't changed. The construction schedule on this 18 to 24 months, that's, whatever that obligation is, it wouldn't happen in 2023, probably wouldn't happen in 2024.
But don't we want to figure that out sooner than?
And that's what we're doing. That's what
We've
we're
been
doing.
talking about it
now.
for a year, now that
That's
we're
what
moving
we're
forward.
doing. You know, this project has been up and down, you know, I mean, it's been delayed. This project started, you know, several years ago. So we're trying to get to the point where we understand and everybody understands what our obligation is.
Yeah, it's not our side installing it. It's not our side that's being difficult with making meetings happen. It's
yeah.
ongoing. I
I hear you.
feel exactly how you feel. It's right to our citizens. It's,
But I just feel like we then need to take the urgency of it. We can't be lackadaisical about something that has such a huge potential financial burden for us.
I just, yeah, I don't feel that we have been. We've been ongoing talking to them, trying to schedule meetings. Been an issue for years, and
Yeah, as far as the agreement goes,
yeah,
gosh, it's gone on forever. I think Jim Pearson was the principal and Tom Sartini way back in the day, and that's where this kind of disconnect, you probably remember that part of it from way back when. And so when it gets down to arguing that in the litigation, I mean, there were already talks some years ago about who the witnesses were going to be, who was going to be subpoenaed. So that background, I think Lauren probably has a pretty good handle on it as well. But Jim Pearson really is the one that said that was not the understanding, and Tom Sartini, something to the effect, knows exactly what the agreement was meant to, how it's to be interpreted. So when that time comes, two very important people.
And if you may recall, some of the language that has been disputed is what's determined as planned or unplanned.
Right.
And it evolves around that.
any other discussion?
Any further discussion on that?
I appreciate the healthy conversations. We're on it.
Also, the Fire Protection Service Agreement with Geneva Township, though it's not up until the end of the year, it's a 5-year agreement that I've been in discussion with the township on, and we're going to start getting together, we're going to get together starting next month. And, there's, so we're going to get out in front of this one pretty early. Auditor engagement for the year ending 2022 financial services. I mentioned, as you might recall, I mentioned at the last meeting that I was more than likely to have a recommendation on a GAAP conversion process. Well, we're still talking with Juni and Kenichi, and Tracy and I, we met with them. And so they're revising their scope of services, and we should have that, hopefully we'll have that this week. So that, that recommendation will more than likely be able to be made at the next meeting. I'm just going to make one other point before I get into the zoning updates, and it's just that the annual Asheville County Combined Health District Advisory Council meeting is Thursday, March 23rd, and as again, with the City of Geneva, the manager of the City of Geneva is a member of that board, I will be presenting, I'll be attending that meeting. Zoning updates. So 2 things here. The first thing I just want to point out is that the ongoing review of the zoning code is continuing, and that's considered as phase 2. So the Planning Commission continues to review what our consultants laid out as recommendations, and we continue to go through that. And we're getting closer to getting through it all. There's a lot of language there, but upon the completion of the Planning Commission's review, those recommendations will be presented to council. And also, there's a recommendation on behalf of our zoning inspector who we have here tonight, who is going to just say, make some comments about some of the recommendations that she is making and has presented to the Planning Commission, which the Planning Commission unanimously agreed to on these recommendations. So I'm going to let Noel go ahead and make the presentation on ordinance.
Good evening. So the Planning Commission has been working busily on the reviewing of the zoning ordinance. These are some separate ordinances that are not under the zoning code. However, they are very important to the citizens of the city. What currently the city has a weed ordinance, weed being tall grass, ordinance that is in section 661 under the safety, sanitation, and health. That is the one that is I've given you all copies of everything. It's a copy of the little green piece of paper. attached to it. It's a long section of code. What we are proposing to do, or what Planning Commission has agreed, proposed with favorable recommendation, is to strike the section regarding weeds out of 661, which is what we currently have. There used to be an old section, 676, which was repealed on August 26, 1991. We're looking to reestablish the weed ordinance under its own chapter, which I also have given you a copy of that, which is a separate handout labeled with that, the 676 section number. The biggest changes with it would be a little bit easier and cleaner to enforce. I do believe and have found in my years of code enforcement and zoning that having property that's maintained helps build a better community, less trash, less junk. When you have tall lots and such, there's a lot of dumping, a lot of vermin, a lot of mosquitoes, you name it. So this, I think, helps it. It also reduces the height of the grass down to 6 inches. Currently in the ordinance, it's higher, and it's 8 to 10 inches now. By the time you get the complaint, you send out the letter, you will give them time to cut the grass, and then by the time you can get somebody to mow the grass, it is at least a foot tall. It's very unsightly, and it's very hard to maintain then. So if the 6 inches helps you keep it at a better thing, a better maintenance. So also the ordinance would be going on all of the properties. There is undeveloped areas would not have to be cut. And that was a discussion the Planning Commission did take into consideration. Any questions on weeds?
Yeah. There has been a lawn care where planting just native plants in lawn areas, different than letting your weeds grow, but purposely putting in native species of grasses and things, as opposed again to, which is often healthier for the soil than dumping Roundup or chemicals in for grass per se. Has there been any consideration about how something like that might be seen versus again a vacant lot or someone not caring for it, right? There's different
A lot of
purpose
those
there.
native species aren't that tall,
Okay.
so it shouldn't affect that if they're planted and it's planted in a, say it's in a decorative manner, or say it's in a, those are plantings and those are different than letting it go wild and be crazy.
Well, there is some folks who will put native grasses and things just as opposed to a lawn area. And
The ordinance currently, or the proposed ordinance doesn't specify Kentucky bluegrass or annual rye, or it can be, some people have English ivy as your lawn. It's green, it's low, it's easy to take care of, and every once in a while if it pops out, you can pull it out. You don't have to cut it. So it doesn't specify that you can't use native plants. It just does specify it has to be lower. And it also helps with vision, children walking to school, children playing. We're all about, and I know you are too, about getting out there and walking and biking and doing stuff. And if your grass is too tall or your bushes aren't trimmed, and you can't see backing out of your driveway, that's when somebody's going to get hit or get hurt. So that's why another reason we want to keep things lower, especially at the edges of the sidewalk and such, and for vision. Any other questions? Okay, then the other ordinance that the Planning Commission favorably recommended was regarding vacant properties. Vacant properties are a sore subject in a lot of communities. It takes away from your tax base, it takes away from drawing people downtown or into your community. A lot of people, we all feel our property is worth $1 million, but this will help get people to get their property either sold or occupied and make them viable properties and help increase our taxes. There is a fee. If you decide you want to keep your property vacant, then you would have to pay a fee. And if you don't pay that fee, there is a penalty for not paying your fee on time. How we would regulate this is by water consumption. And watching the water consumption, the city is blessed by they have a phenomenal water system. They can tell you when your toilet's leaking. They can tell you when somebody takes a shower. So we will base our vacant property on the occupancy and the consumption of the water. How that is a great way to regulate it. The this would go for commercial and industrial properties as well as residential. The fees, every year that the property is vacant, the fee does double up to 5 years. And the 5th year, the fee stays the same. It would also include, instead of, if it's a strip mall or a storefront, a building with multiple storefronts, it includes each storefront. So we don't have to wait for the whole building to be vacant, but if there's a storefront that's been vacant for years and years, an example would be, down on 20 across from Mary's Diner. There's the gym, but then there's all those other units that have just sat vacant. It would encourage the owner to get those units occupied. And there is other communities in Ashtabula County that have the same ordinance. Most of them were taken, being Ashtabula City and Conneaut, and they were basically all the same as Painesville City's ordinance, which I know has been held up in court, and I'm very familiar with it. So it does help to get the properties, to get the banks on any foreclosed properties, to get off of them and to sell them quicker, to get them back being productive.
I think on the vacant property, one of the key points when someone's listing it, it's not a for sale by owner.
Correct, there is exemptions and ways to get around not having to pay the fees, and it does have to either have an active building permit through the county building department or listed with a realtor, a licensed realtor, a listing agreement. For economic purposes, the city manager does have the right to waive the fees in order to maybe get a property that's been vacant for a period of time, get it occupied. So there is a review process as well. Any other questions about that? That's it in a nutshell, it's a quick one.
So we need to have this as a reading though, correct?
So the information has been given to Gary to put into legislative form, and we would like to go ahead and get that presented at the next meeting, to get the first reading, especially for the grass, because it's coming.
This is just a recommendation from the planning commission. At last, that you each look at it, if you have suggested changes or additions or deletions, let me know so we'll take care of
And again, at that recommendation, based on that recommendation and per Gary's comment, we could have that legislation drawn up and presented at the next meeting. Please.
Awesome. All right, that brings us to items for consideration of council. First up is ordinance number 3326, an ordinance to amend the language of section 1610.01 of the City Fire Prevention Code. This is the second reading this evening. Next is ordinance number 3328, an ordinance to amend the 2023 budget through appropriations and fund transfers attached here to and marked Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency. Any questions on that one? Can I have a motion to waive the three readings rule, please?
So moved. Second.
Roll call on the waiver.
Roseborough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Ventura,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to declare the ordinance an emergency?
So moved. Second.
And a roll call on emergency.
Roseborough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Ventura,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova.
Yes.
And roll call on passage, please.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Ventura,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Roseborough.
Yes.
Next up is Resolution 3571, a resolution authorizing the execution of event and now certificates by the Director of Finance for purchases and declaring an emergency. Any discussion on this one? Can I have a motion to waive the three reading rule, please?
So moved. Second.
Roll call on the waiver.
Ventura,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Roseborough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to declare it an emergency?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Baker,
Yes.
Cordova,
Yes.
Roseborough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes. And a roll call on passage, please.
Cordova,
Yes.
Roseborough,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Jerem,
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Okay, is there any unfinished business to come before council?
I just had a question about the school resource officer. Did we get that wrapped up yet?
I think as of today, I have received I talked with the attorney. They told her to send me a final copy, clean copy for signature. She did that this afternoon. I delivered it to Chief Camper tonight for his signature and for Mr. Marquette's signature. They'll be signed here judiciously and we'll get it back to them.
Good news.
So as far as we're concerned, yes, we have it. And they've consented to it also. They'll sign it as soon as we get it back.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Is that something we need to see, the agreement itself, the MOU? Did we see the original MOU with the school?
Did you?
We did, we approved, I think, the original MOU for the school resource officer. Thought we had.
I don't know when that was done, but I can certainly forward to you tomorrow by email.
Okay.
Each of you.
That would be great, thanks. And it was a couple of years ago, you were the solicitor when we did that.
That addition, before my time when it was first put on. But that's fine. We'll get it to you.
Any other unfinished business? Under new business, we have some soccer board appointments and reappointments. We'll do the reappointments first. As president of council of the city of Geneva, I hereby reappoint to a 2-year term on the soccer advisory board Scott Carley, Brent Carrick, Bill Anderson, and James Roussaud, effective January 1st, 2022, and ending December 31st, 2023. Wes Burns, effective January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2024. And appoint Andy Netzel, Terry Carrick, and Mike Palinkas, effective January 1st, 2023, ending December 31st, 2024. Is there any other new business to come before council this evening? Seeing none, that moves us to the payment of bills. Any question or discussion on bill payments? Seeing none, that brings us to committee reports. Are there any committees wishing to report at this time? That brings us to the second citizens portion. Are there any citizens that wish to address council at this time? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. Thanks, everyone.